Okay.
Oh, we're going? Okay. Well, welcome back to episode 3, week
back.
3 of Slayhouse Review. I'm Marco.
I'm Devin. Welcome to our literary circle.
Yeah, if you're new here, you're probably not. I can't imagine this finding anyone in the world.
Yeah.
Have you talked about this with anybody you know?
Me?
Yeah. Have you met?
Not a soul. I mean, I literally have not told a soul.
And so I feel like the reason anyone is listening is because, like, I told people in my personal life to listen.
I mean, Slay.
I don't even feel like my YouTube audience is listening.
That's really sad. Where are they?
I mean, frankly, I felt really sad about it for the first 2 times we did, but like, we've been doing this, it was like 2.5 weeks because those first 2 episodes. But now I've gotten to a point where the novelty has worn off, and I'm just like, whatever. Like, let's just ship this out.
It's just for us. Like, if anything, it's like very fun. You know, we always talk about this, to just say you're gonna do something and then just simply do it.
And simply do it.
And the thing people don't know is,
we're hoping, that something changes cognitively for us while we're doing this. And you know what? Everybody needs something that they can latch onto.
Yeah, we're bringing ourselves into alignment with our, manifested reality, which is, I guess, to become fake critics of the New Yorker.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is something to it culturally. I think we have something to offer.
Okay. Well, anyways, what's this fucking story called?
Today, we're going to be bringing you Finistère by Kevin Barry.
Now, is that how you would say you pronounce that French destination?
Finistère. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, regardless.
Because whenever got the E at the end, so you can say the R.
Oh, Slay, did you took French, didn't you? Couldn't you speak it?
Like, passively. Like, I couldn't say anything. Like, you couldn't be like, gun to my head, how do you say this? But like, if I needed to communicate something, albeit roundabout, like, I could.
Do you think you're ever going to go to France?
I'd be like, help, the guy behind me is trying to reach into my purse and grab my wallet, instead of, actually get to the point and say that in a, like, quick and fluent way. I'd have to, like, dance around it.
Try.
I, can't.
Please,
I can't. I mean, what do you want me to try to say?
What's the French word for rape?
I actually don't know. They didn't teach us that.
Clip. I feel like it would be. Yeah, I guess why would they teach you that? Well, maybe they should,
Violet. But not violet the color, but like violate, I think. I think it's like violate.
It's like, you know what? There's a novel that I meant to read for a very long time, and I think it's called that. And I always assume it's about, like, a woman who gets raped, and then, she, like, vigilante justices herself out of that story. Very European. I feel like all European rape fantasies are about that. Is that loosely
Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, right? Doesn't
I
she
think
have a traumatic...
I think that literally is Girl with a Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah.
No,
that's the
because
Swedish...
No, like, I know, but like the plot line of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo isn't right. So she gets raped by someone and then becomes a killer, or she's like a cop that gets raped.
I mean, it's a long backstory. I think, like, maybe she used to be. I can't remember because it's been so long. I've only seen the movie, not watched the books, but I've only seen the movie, not read the books. But like, she does have a traumatic backstory that eventually does come to light. But it's, one of trauma, so her, like, sort of hyper masculine, like, response is to become,
was it
like a hitman.
Dyke sexual for you watching that experience?
I mean, it was kind of hot. I mean, because it's Rooney Mara.
I mean, it was, like, and it was stunning, the role. I mean, the first thing when you said Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, I said, stun.
It was really iconic. I mean, I remember. Yeah. She's. I love her.
Luckily, in this story,
I don't know why I took this pencil out.
Girl, no one gets raped. And we'll get to it. I was like,
it's a good thing.
Yeah,
for this story.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you as we start discussing this story is, so before we get into the plot, how would you pronounce the narrator's name?
Kian.
Did you look that up?
No. I just know
bitch.
a lot of Irish people.
Oh my god, I want to.
I know.
You are a Boston girl after all.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you know what Kian?
Yeah, I knew a few. I actually knew Kian in high school too. Yeah, I've known I know like 4 Kians.
I was literally like absolutely looking forward to speculating about this. I mean, I was totally goobed and gobsmacked, and I just feel like shaking up this beer and opening it in your face.
Yeah,
you just really
blast me.
So Kian.
Kian, yeah.
I mean, actually, I would say is a pretty good name. I thought
it's like Killian Murphy. You know how the C becomes a hard C. That's why it's so sexy. It's like Gaelic roots. Yeah.
I had assumed it was pronounced Sean. So this narrator's name is Kian John, whatever his last name is. And so the whole time I was reading this, I was like, his name is Sean John.
Sean John.
Isn't that the P. Diddy clothing line?
Yeah.
I was like, in this climate?
Yes, Slay?
A Diddy homage? Which, you know, I guess
keeps coming up.
Well, you know, a story about a leering man, you know, chasing after a vulnerable, well, not really, but
Kian John Wynn is his name. Yeah, I'm not sure why the 3 names. It seems kind of affectatious.
And I think the protagonist seemed affectatious, or at least the one pet peeve I will say, listening back to our last 2 episodes, instead of narrator, I have interchangeably been using the word protagonist and narrator because all of these have been first person stories, and it got like really, I'm like, cause I kept fantasizing about like, oh my god, some man is gonna like listen to this and he's gonna like hear me say protagonist, he's gonna like giggle to himself and be like, ugh, like these idiots, these idiots. If only he had ever read Lacan.
Let us know.
Yeah, if that's you, please let us know. Actually, we're like, you know, really desperate for any validation or acknowledgement that
any attention
this sort of thing exists.
Right.
And if you have a big fat white cock, you know, let us know even more, girl. Although the people, you know, who read the New Yorker are not, I would say, well endowed typically. I guess just for like the population distribution of big penises, I would assume like not many.
You know?
Well, anyways.
Yeah.
So a guy, he's like taking a ferry from one place in Ireland to another place in Ireland. And I'm sitting here thinking like, Ireland is multiple islands. Like I thought like Ireland was just a single.
Wait, no, he's going to France? But I mean, to your point, I believe there are there's small islands off the coast of France. Like
and I'm sure there is.
Yeah,
and if my boyfriend was here, and I'm sure he's listening right now, he's probably laughing to himself and saying, "Oh, Marco, you never know anything about European geography." And it's like, well, who the fuck does, girl, besides you?
Well, he does.
Do you want me to shake this beer up and explode it on your face?
Well, it's already open.
Slay.
Okay, I'll stop.
No, keep going. It's good. It's good.
No.
You're so bad that you're so good.
I know. I'm just like in an antagonistic mood today.
I have to make sure that like my arm, like this one, because it looks good on the camera. I have to make sure it's constantly. It could be bigger though. My tricep needs to like go to here.
Huge right
oh wait, they are. You're giving titties.
I am.
Okay, so a man.
So a man walks into a bar on a boat.
Yes.
Right?
Essentially, yeah. And he's like reading. Okay,
he's on the ferry.
Yeah, he's on a ferry from one place in Ireland to France, and I think we learned immediately that he had just ended a relationship.
Yes.
He's single. Kian.
Yeah.
Kian would be a different sort of man. So, and then he's like at the cafe on the bar, and he's trying. This is the other thing I was going to ask you. I know. Okay, Rachel Cusk. Didn't she just come out with like? I know she's like a. Okay, please tell me. Yeah,
no,
I thought it was.
She's a British writer.
Wait, is this what we were just?
Yes.
Fucking.
Yes, and she's very slay. She's very cunty.
Wait, I'm like horrified by this. Yeah. So, to context for the 3 people listening. We had just had a whole conversation about this
about
Rachel Cusk, who's a English writer, and I had never heard of her prior to this conversation we had last week. And we were talking about like how cunty and like sexy she was as like an older.
Of her on Pinterest.
Yeah, look up and for you listening, look up Rachel Cusk, and we basically just had a whole conversation about just how slayful and old she looked in like a slayful sort of sophisticated,
in like a true
dirty way.
Kind of way, like in a way that doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, I was reading this thinking, oh, maybe she just had a novel come out that like the New Yorker had written about, not because I thought it was like promotion or anything, but you know, a buzzy author of now. Yeah. So I'm actually, I feel once again that the universe is watching us and mocking us. I think that's true.
I think that's very true. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, it's getting weird.
Yeah,
people are listening. Maybe not to this podcast, but yes, to our conversations.
Yes, right. Cosmically speaking.
Yeah. Okay. So Rachel Cusk, And what is Rachel Cusk? Was he alluding to anything?
I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I don't think so.
Because
Like,
did you ever read anything?
I haven't actually read any of it.
No.
But
and I probably never will.
I mean, from what I understand, she's like a modernist, kind of like postmodern. I don't actually know if it's modern or postmodern kind of writer, but like basically she's like kind of anti-plot, anti-character as like.
Oh well, she sounds incredible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, from what I have read on Google Books, free previews, I really like it.
Take advantage of them.
So I don't know, but again, your question still stands. Like, what is this guy doing? Reading Rachel Cusk? Like, is it supposed to be doing something?
And that's the other thing where, again, it's like week 3 of reading these New Yorker stories, and I think for this third story in a row, I really like. This is a self-insert. Like it has to be old, sort of like writerly artist man who's Irish, happens to be taking a ferry journey to France. And I mean, we know as much that the writer was doing all of this because he said so of this story in the interview afterwards. But it makes me feel a little less dirty for essentially writing fiction the same way, where it's just like, well, every story is just me.
Right. No, I agree.
I guess everybody fucking does that. You know?
Everybody must do that. Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, the best part about it is like, of course we can like, pause it all we want, but like at the end of the day, it's still a piece of fiction. So he gets the last word on it not being him, which is great when it works for you as the writer.
Exactly.
We get to do the same thing, and we get to write like silly little stories about crazy like drug experiences and then take them to workshop and be like, it's not me though.
It's so funny.
Make that connection, right? Because that claim is unfounded. It's like, it's not me.
Yeah,
it's a
like,
character.
Even though it like very kind of clearly is, it's always like, well, are you gonna say? Like, are you gonna say that?
And you can't prove it because it's fiction. Like, like that's just kind of
it's fun and antagonistic.
Exactly.
To borrow a word. I mean, I certainly feel antagonized by the whole thing. I don't know, although not necessarily by the story, because I actually thought it was pretty like lukewarm. Like I was kind of like shrugging my shoulders by the end of it.
I feel like
again, puff of the vape and move on. Yes, recap? I know. I mean, and let's make it snappy because I mean, I'm certainly in a rambly mood. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think we can ramble after we get to the plot points.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got a guy. He has recently broken up with his partner Sylvia. The way that is also told to us as readers is like Sylvia had been abandoned and he wasn't going to see her ever again. So it's like, did you abandon Sylvia, or like did you agree to this? I don't know, whatever. So he's on this boat, he's drinking, he's reading Rachel Cusk, and there's a girl sitting at the bar trying to open her laptop and connect to Wi-Fi to watch World's Toughest Prisons.
And by girl, we mean like child. Girl. So we haven't gotten there yet, which I'm surprised. It's probably been like 10 minutes and we haven't mentioned.
Right.
Ooh, we've got a power imbalance age dynamic. We've got a minor and a man, girl.
Right.
This is the kind of thing that I'm all about. But like, like in the sense of like a story. You know, like let's go taboo, girl.
Right. And so then they converse, but it's like, it's weirdly like inappropriate, even though they don't really say anything. Right. He like thinks she's like on the spectrum, and then she's like, I'm on all the spectrums. No one knows how to diagnose me. And then he's like, oh, same, but I'm not really sure what to make of that.
They're having like a mental health off, they're doing like a oppression Olympic sort of thing. I mean, my mind like immediately went like sexual, like some sort of sexual tension. Oh, yeah. And so we kind of have it. There is this like dynamic where, yes, every time they do like have a bit of dialogue, the narrator always has to acknowledge like, I shouldn't be doing this. This is like creepy. It's untoward to be like an old man talking to like a little girl unsupervised on a thing, on a ferry. And she seems like she's actively trying to push the boundaries a little bit. She asks him, like
so she first says that she's been known to, quote, obliterate the social contract or whatever, or something like, I don't know, super. And then she says, then he says like, me too. Basically, he's like sort of revealing stuff about himself. But then she says, please don't take me away, daddy, or something like that. And he's like, oh, and then it turns kind of sexual, even though like she is the one who said it, which of course is the whole thing.
And I mean, I was gonna say this rings like very true to how I was as a teenager talking to adults. Like trying to like be over vulnerable, trying to test the limits, trying to so it felt very
because
true
of course
to form.
when you're the young one, it's like that's exactly like how the boundary pushing goes.
And like as you're reading, you're thinking he's gonna. I'm always thinking some sort of untoward development is going to happen just because I'm reading fiction, and that's the typical thing that the worst always happens, or it should. But no, nothing.
But no, it's like he bites a little bit on it. It's like they talk a little bit, and she says, "I've never like let's play secrets." He says, "Oh, let's not."
Yeah,
she
exactly.
Says,
he's doing all the things he needs to be doing. He's keeping everything in check. He acknowledged his. He was very. He saw a social media post about how to act properly in this situation. He's damn well doing it.
Right.
Oh, and then while this discussion is all happening, we're also getting interstitched scenes of like a summary of his romance with the woman that he had just left at the beginning of the story. Her name's Sylvia. She's some kind of sophisticate.
Right. And I mean, I don't even really remember so we find out that with Sylvia, his ex, this is all sort of being unfolded to us as the conversation with him we found out she's like 16-year-old girl on the boat. We find out that he and Sylvia used to get into like screaming fights, and I guess like we're told that Sylvia punched him in the face.
Oh yeah, we are told that.
But then he also is like, I don't like to be truthful with people, but it's weird because if this was like a first person story, it'd be like, oh, he's like lying, and not. I mean, I guess like that's what the story's calling into question is like, is this man like a victim of domestic abuse? And
I didn't get that at all whatsoever.
Oh, I thought there was because he has to flee Ireland because they're like, you abused your wife. So that's why he's like leaving.
Oh, okay.
But then I'm like, sort of like, why
I feel like it's so inconsequential to all of this. And leading up to it, even the relationship that was described did not feel particularly toxic in any way. It just seemed, I mean, before we get to this confrontation between him and Sylvia that gets him then fleeing Ireland, we do have like the prior context of their relationship. He moved into her house or something, and they
he
fought
can't
a
sleep.
bit. Yeah, and he can't. Yes, that's
because she's comfortable. He can't sleep.
Yeah, and he can't sleep is like the whole thing. It's also how the story ends on, and she'll like try to show him like funny videos on her phone, and he'll be like, it's not that funny, like in his head, but he doesn't like want to say it, and he's like, oh, and then he like proposes to her, but then he's like, oh, I actually can't stand her.
Right. They have a very like up and down kind of relationship, it seems, until the last fight when she hit him with a box or something, and then they called the police. Somebody called the police.
Yes, somebody called the police, and then
they
like turn against him.
What to make of it though is almost like, okay, so I feel like this story is specifically like it's purposely trying not to like fulfill any of my moral expectations, right? It's like, yeah, he doesn't like do any like harm to this girl, but it's like it still feels weird when they're like talking, but it's like nothing actually happens, and that's fine. But then the whole like domestic abuse backstory is actually kind of confusing to me because I'm not sure like what it's doing in this context. Like, is it just
is that like how is this informing me about this conversation he's having with this teenager, and how is the conversation with the teenager reflecting onto what just happened to him? And I don't know. I mean, I really didn't see anything about it, and right now I don't, and while I was reading I didn't even think to make those connections. It just sort of felt like I was getting this information, so I just like, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit of a nothing burger for me.
It just doesn't
sorry
really.
What's this guy's name? Henry?
I forget. Let's see. It just Kevin. It just doesn't really like, I think, end anywhere that compelling for me in terms of like exploration of character. Like, yes, I guess I'm unsure what this man's gonna do next, or like, is he secretly a child predator who just like staved off, I don't know, preying upon this girl, and he's like actually been abusing his wife, or is he a victim? Or like, who cares?
And it's funny because I like maybe it was just because I was fucking stoned, but like I didn't think about any of that when the story finished. I was just like, okay,
Yeah,
you know,
it just
like
perhaps was too.
maybe I'm just a fucking idiot, you know, and I don't think critically about things.
No,
But
there wasn't anything to pull
yeah,
from
there
in
wasn't
here.
anything that just like, you know, and even less so than the other two stories that we've read. With both of them, I kind of felt like I was like not necessarily left with a question about the text or particularly like moved or impacted by the story. It was just like, you know, I was like thinking through things afterwards. This evoked no thought
I
in
think
me.
that's the thing that's interesting is like if you're going to do something sort of like amoral, like it's not gonna like engage in like good character, bad character, then I want to be sort of like moved by the prose or like
the sentiment,
something.
So like say something.
Yeah. So it's just kind of underwhelming.
And you know, in the absence of something shocking or something like interesting or curious, it's like, you know, make a bitch cry,
right.
make a bitch tear up.
Right. I want to cry from the everyday like beauty of life or like the everyday heartbreaks, but here I felt no type of way really. I felt no type of way. So, and the interview was less illuminating. Even more so.
And it was like he was like putting stuff onto this story that like I was like I didn't get that at all. But when I was reading it, it's not that I thought like what he was saying wasn't truthful or didn't reflect the story. Like I could see what he was saying, but like when I was reading it, like none of these things occurred to me. Like the way he just kept bringing up that like this, and the interviewer too. So I mean, like they, you know, someone must have read into it a little bit of like he's like this hopeless romantic who's like stuck in adolescence, and because he resigns himself to like through his narration, through always feeling these like big like unconquerable feelings, that he'll always be like a teenager, and like that's like his core, and like they're both characters talking in this cafe or in high school, and I was like I didn't get that at all. Yeah. In fact, I thought like it was kind of noticeable that he was more mature than this teenager.
Right. I don't feel that they
had this dynamic. He wasn't cutting up with the teen girl, you know. It was like it was very much an old man talking to a teenage girl.
They really did not have any common ground, I think, between the two of them, other than this like awkwardness. Like social awkwardness.
Victim complex, this libtard victim complex. So I guess like I mean, do you have any experiences talking to older men, strange older men when you were a teenager, like stopping to talk to you?
Not when I was a teenager, but like definitely like in college and stuff. Yeah, totally. Like I would get old men to buy me drinks all the time. Like there was this one like local old guy out in Waltham, and like at this bar, and he was like had to be like 70 or 80, and he would always come and like just buy up drinks for everybody.
Oh well, you know,
but like
80,
you know, he like you know
give
touch
you a
your
little
back
rub,
and you know like, oh hey sweetheart, how you doing? And like he couldn't tell you apart, but it was like I was just like drinking, and I would say hi to him and then peace out, because it was like he wasn't gonna like.
Do you think he recently left his wife? You know, was he?
Maybe like via like natural causes, like because he was real old. But anyway,
did he smell like an old person?
No, didn't notice a smell.
Did he have a liver spot?
He was really like, you know how old people get kind of like spittle a lot, like
kind of
he was like kind of like that was like kind of his thing. I forget his name, but it was like, you know, it was like a single first name that he went by. You know, everyone's like, oh, that's Rob, for instance, like. Oh, hey, Rob, or hey, Bill, or like whatever.
Did any of your friends ever think about sex with him? Did you ever think about?
No, I didn't, because he never even like. I feel like I don't. Can you like have sex after a certain age?
You know, another respectable old man to add to the docket for today's episode. I mean, you know, I guess everyone's behaving themselves.
You can tell it's like the same way I actually feel about this character. Is like you can tell that they're actually like despicable, dirty, like fucks,
and it's kind of nasty.
Together, it's like
and like good for them, but it's like I can good for you. Still tell you're a little nasty.
Is that like is that interesting to me? Like to go back to the story, it's like, you know, same thing with this. I don't really tell this old guy story because it's not a really good story.
Exactly. It's like
this old guy is like
I was entertained,
weird,
but like
and then he like pays for your drink and you go your separate ways. So it's kind of like this character.
Is gonna cut up.
Okay, is he kind of
pool party? You know,
like, gross in the way that like a lot of like men are gross. Like, is that particularly like revealing anything new to me? Like, no, I'll get my gin and tonic, thanks. Like, and that's it. And I do feel like he was definitely on the upper limit of like old guys. I mean, yeah. I've had like older, like 15 years or so, but like that's not like old.
Do you remember like how did you feel talking to adults when you were a teenager? Like talking about your interests and not just like about like typical
That's
authority
such a
figure
great question.
type things. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I'll hand it to Kevin, a little bit. And like I do feel like this was a realistic depiction of like a teenager trying to seem like cooler and more like worldly to a like mysterious older man.
Right.
I would do the
that.
same thing.
I do too. I was definitely a smartass like that.
And
like
I would try to breadcrumb my like sort of
right
like cynicism and like cultural.
Yeah. I was really manipulative
knowledge.
in like middle school, especially. Like
I
always manipulating adults. I had a big authority problem. I mean, I still do, but like especially like 13, 14, I was like, you know, you couldn't tell me jack shit. Like, sorry, not me. Like the rules apply to others, but not me.
Slay.
Yeah. So I like resonating with her.
Yeah.
But I never got myself into like any sort of weird situations with
I never think
I
don't think I like ever initiated like conversation with like a stranger in a crowded space. I don't think I've ever approached anyone at a bar like as an adult or like a super. I don't think I've ever tried to like initiate conversation in that way.
That is really I think like I mean, and I have, but like never in like that kind of, not in an antagonistic way. Like always in kind of well, actually in an antagonistic way, but not with an age differential. Actually, I don't know if that's true. I feel like that's mostly true. Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
Girl, and I don't even know where I'm fucking going with
what were you like with adults?
Yeah, pretty much the same way as the teenager in this story. I mean, I was kind of I was always cautious. Like I, didn't want to like, I wasn't ballsy enough to try to like act on any like kind of devious impulses, whether those were like sexual or just like shit stirry. But I certainly wanted like adults to think I was like smarter and more capable and like more like worldly than other teenagers. So I would, breadcrumb like, like culture stuff I knew, or like, just like kind of like a mature attitude or whatever perceived to be a mature attitude. Blah 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 blah
blah blah blah. What was I was gonna ask you? I had a what if for you. Oh, how is the best way, in your opinion, to handle this situation if you're the guy and there's a child like sort of antagonizing you?
Like leave?
What would you do?
I would like completely would just close my book and be like, I'm gonna go.
I think I would do the same thing.
Just leave.
Could be avoided easy as that.
I mean, I guess like I feel like men in their 50s have a much easier time just like sitting in a like, conversation,
like, taking up space. And
and it's like
not backing down.
I would rather not.
Right. I'll be the first to fold. I'll be like, whatever.
Yeah, it's like you win, girl. Yeah, exactly. Like you win, girl. Right. Like, congratulations. Good luck to you, and I will be, I will stay in my room for the rest of the night because you ruined my day.
Here's another question for you. Have you ever been on a ferry? Like a true ferry?
I like took one from like maybe New Jersey to New York on a trip to New York. I mean, like I think I did. Like I don't necessarily know what I was on.
How do they get all the cars to stay on the ferry and it not to sink?
Are there cars on the boat?
Yeah, girl. Oh, yeah,
because he's on his Tesla. So at the end, I thought like his car had like I don't know, like
it like self-drove it there. I was thinking that
because it was a Tesla. Yeah,
I was like, oh, it's like self-driving.
There's multiple points.
Met him in France.
There's multiple allusions to the narrator's Tesla in this story. Him like furiously driving his Tesla.
Yeah, this is why this reads also as autofiction, because they're gratuitous self-insert details. Like, and I think actually we're at the core of something here is like, if you're gonna self-insert, you always gotta do it with an undercut, right? like when I self-insert, it's like, look at all of like these stupid choices I've made and this crazy shit that like, I'm looking for like a wow, like haha moment. But I'm also like, okay, not my best moments. But I would never like paint myself as like a Tesla drive. Like I'm Tesla driving, like I'm reading my literary fiction after like getting banned from Ireland.
Can you imagine if he just wrote this, if he just like wrote this whole story to prove to the people in his life that like he can be trusted around minors.
Right. Like, I did Google immediately. I had to find out if he had any affiliation to Rachel Cusk, and like was he trying to like revenge her, like do like a revenge literary move on her in some way? And so I was like immediately team Rachel Cusk and was like, don't drag
like
her name through the
whole thing
mud. Like did they have history? Is he her ex and is trying to like, you know, put her, and I couldn't find anything. So.
Maybe he was just like trying to, you know, slide in the DMs for lack of a better phrase.
It's a novel approach, I would say.
Yeah, and I feel like it would work. I mean, if that's happened to me, like if I had a book and someone alluded to it in like a New Yorker short story, I'd be like, you want to suck your cock or something? Like, I'll do it. Like,
right. So do you know how many friends like you would get reading maybe not like our friends, but like say in another world where we're literary and we're getting, you know, this is the level. You're gonna wake up one morning when the story drops, and you're just gonna get 50 text messages with like screenshots of your name highlighted.
Oh my god, I was reading this in New York.
Oh my god, it's you! And it's like, okay.
Oh well, yeah. So I would reach out to Kevin and be like, well, my mouth's open, I guess. You know, like hey.
I guess, yeah. Like, although I feel like it's almost just like the perfect moment for the I don't know her. You know, it's like to pretend that you've never even seen the New Yorker article when your name is in it would be like such a slay too, right? To be like, oh, your name's in the New Yorker, like, huh, that's interesting, didn't see it. Yeah. Like, and just move on. Yeah. Like, be so blasé about it. Like that would be.
Yeah, I'm always in the press, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Send it to my office. Yeah. We'll do a clipping, you know, like that could be incredible. What was I was going to ask you another one. Had another good one pop up.
Were you picturing this teen girl as a redhead? I thought she had I was picturing her as the Chick-fil-A sauce girl. It was giving Chick-fil-A sauce girl energy. No Chick-fil-A.
She looks like
no Chick-fil-A sauce.
Chick-fil-A sauce girl. Oh yeah.
I had this vivid image of the Chick-fil-A sauce girl. I was reading that.
That's actually kind of close to what I did in my mind's eye. She was sort of visibly young and kind of blondish, not a redhead.
I was mostly talking about
oh, not this girl?
No, yes, this girl, but not even just sort of the uncanny valley expressions on her face.
Yes.
Yeah.
You haven't seen The World's Toughest Prisons season 7 or whatever she says? Slay, which I did, in fact, that exact episode, the Bosnia and Herzegovina episode.
Show.
I saw that episode.
And what do you think? Do you think they're medieval, as a teenage girl says?
I thought it was really interesting. Actually, I think a lot of prisons that aren't in the United States are actually nicer than the United States because of, the prison industrial complex.
Do they have gay sex in prisons all over the world? Is that a thing everywhere?
That is a great question.
Did they ever address that on World's Toughest Prisons?
Not that I saw.
They should do an out TV spinoff of World's Most Anally Active.
Most
prisons.
Anally Active.
Yeah. I would like to know. Yeah, absolutely.
Most anally active zones.
Slay.
I had a good one that I was gonna.
Sorry, and I just steamrolled you.
No, it was good. It was.
It's gone.
It's gone.
I mean, what else? I mean, I don't even know how long we've been going for. I checked the clock at 59, but I feel like we had been, and it's 11:22 now. But I feel like we had been going for quite a while, and I was like, oh shit, when did we start?
It's probably been half hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm what else? What do you have anything else?
Well, I had another. Okay, let me rewind in my head. It was a would you rather about. What did I ask you? I asked you, what would you do in this situation? And then.
I mean,
I think it's gone.
I guess, I feel like this is just all Kevin's fault.
Mm-hmm.
I look at a picture of him. Obligatory, would you have sex with this man? He's Irish, so, I feel like that would be hot.
Yeah. Looking at his picture,
Barry.
I think he's
Oh, no.
hot.
Oh, no. Okay, I don't.
I think he's kind of hot, but I wouldn't have sex with him.
Wait, it's Kevin Barry, right?
Kevin Barry.
Oh, I absolutely take that back.
Kevin Barry, yeah. Like, yeah, I think he's
Peanut Head Paul Schroeder, but like, you know, like as an Irish man.
Yeah, like
I'm just.
Oops, I spelled my. But no, I mean, it's just you need the wow factor for me. Oh wait, okay, I guess that was. Never mind.
Yeah, if
I
you
think it's a
Google
no for
image
me.
him and you like look at all of it, like I'm just really, it's
He
really
looks kind of
not.
like John Green, but
I mean,
older.
kind of in his youth, maybe he was a little bit less. Like,
yeah, I don't know if it's it for me.
I don't know. Yeah, there's something like kind of shocking about it all. Slar. He's got a novel coming out, which I would not pick up to read, and especially because it's about like the coal mines in the 1890s, and it's just
yeah.
why would I spend my free time? Like that's the kind of thing you have to read for grad school. You know, it's like I don't.
Yeah, wow.
I don't need to be spending my liberated time reading about coal mines.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I think it's kind of a hit the vape, move on.
Yeah, and I would say of the two we've read previously, this would now go to the bottom of my list.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
The best story we've read so far is still Neighbors for me.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah.
What would you give this out of 5? Out of 5, I would give this. I guess I would also give it a 3.
I think I would give it 3 stars. Yeah. It was like well composed, I suppose, but it just didn't really do it for me.
Maybe 2, but I feel like that's a little too.
That's why I'm like kind of a proponent of the half stars, but I don't. I get the sanctity of.
Yeah, I mean, let's just cut it dry.
Yeah. I think it's just it didn't really entice me. I don't know. I feel like 2 stars is I probably if we're going. Should we do it out of 10? Should we just reset the metric? Let's just do it out of 10 from now on and call this. I would call this
a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess 10 is better because then you can do half. You can do 50%. Yeah, I would give this a 5.
Yeah. Great.
Girl, yeah. I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I'm like fine with that ending there.
I think so as well. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Great. Well,
come back next week or don't. Like, I don't care. Whatever. Yeah. Slay.